Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. Got my boy Steban on the left side, got Cantu on the right side. Steban, what is going on?
Doing good. How you doing, bro? Feeling a little better. Was a little bit under the weather because yesterday I got rained out during my afternoon run, but we here. We feeling good, and we're ready to recap this series with y'all.
Damn, after running that, mile and a half, we're still back on the track?
Shit, nah, I ran
What
three
was it?
Saturday, two yesterday. With the Achilles falling off the bone, just about to need one of them freaking robotic Achilles soon.
Yeah, Steban's training for Love Island right there, trying to get in
Love
there.
Island. Love Island. What the hell, Steban? I didn't know you were going to be the next guy.
Sign me up. Sign me up. But all the toxicity.
Cantu, what about you, man? How's it going?
Good, chilling. My mom was here visiting. She just left now, but it was fun seeing the family again, and I was chilling. Honestly, I'm at that point in my summer break where it's kind of surprising that it's Thursday yet. Like it seemed like a Saturday and Sunday to me, but so I guess time's moving kind of fast. But we're here chilling, enjoying it, and just trying to do as much as I can. I wish I could be a little bit more active like Steban, but I definitely need to hit the track.
No special dinner since mom was there.
Right?
We just ordered food. We
Yeah,
had a
Yeah, you didn't want to do a carne asada or nothing like that for your mom?
you didn't want to smoke a brisket.
no, no. I'm
No.
gonna smoke it.
Well, at least your week is going quick. I feel like my week's just dragging by the day with work, man. Shoot, it just feels slow every day. And plus getting 4 hours of sleep with the baby.
Yikes!
The
Yeah,
beauty of being a parent.
I'm glad I'm past that stage there.
Runs on
'Cause,
me for that, huh? You're on fumes.
Oh yeah, we're almost getting on 5 hour energy drinks. So was I mean, whatever energy drink you want to throw at me, Celsius, whatever. I mean,
Just try one of the rhino pills.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that now. We're getting too ahead of ourselves over here. But what a series for the Houston Astros. I know one of the guys on the chat had predicted, or maybe even both of them actually,
oh
predicted
yeah,
a
two
sweep.
people.
And
Yeah,
for me personally, I did not see a sweep happening. I knew the Astros had the opportunity to win a series at home again, but a sweep against one of the hottest teams coming into this series was very impressive by the Astros. I think it was shout out to Brady, shout out to Kev on predicting that, man. I just did not see that coming. Y'all guys, what did y'all think about that?
Yeah, I
they know
wasn't.
ball.
Yeah, I guess Kev does know ball. That was equivalent to like Josh Giddey putting up from half court, soaking it.
No, yeah, I mean, especially like a tough series like that against a good team, it's kind of hard to sweep a team like that. But shout out to the Astros, they were able to do it.
Yeah, they did a impressive job. Cucker Tarlson, that name sounds familiar as a politician. What a great gritty series. Yeah, it was a great gritty series for this Houston Astros team. Titled this episode, Astros Ring the Bell, episode 269. We're going to talk a lot about what this series was about, recapping that Philly series. I mean, it was very, very pitchers duel each of these
Yeah,
games,
we
which
predicted the pitchers
I
there.
thought there would have been one game that would have been a little bit of 3 or 4 runs from each team, but my God, the Astros pitching department was just phenomenal throughout this series against the Fighting Phils. Jerry Pena contract as well, because there were talks of some contract extensions, but now, since he is a Boris client, there has been a little bit of change on that. Previewed the Chicago Cubs series with Kyle Tucker and Ryan Presley returning back to Daikin Park. No Astros made it to the first phase of the All-Star voting, which is very shocking, but it is the fan voting. Can't do nothing about it. Astros injuries and around the horn, if we even have time to get into that. Cantu, before we get started, where can you tell these people they can find us, follow us, and subscribe to our channels?
Yeah, you can hear us on. I guess we can start where they can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. You could also keep in tabs of what we're doing. That's player interviews that won't will be posted. As soon as this podcast is over. But you can find all that on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's at Full Steam Ahead. Instagram is FSA Full Steam Ahead. But yeah, great content there. We will have a post soon with man, I just blanked on his name.
Taylor Trammell.
Taylor
With
Trammell.
Taylor Trammell. Yeah, I don't know why I just meant that. So we have an interview with that with Taylor Trammell soon. Get it, and it's actually some good content there. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great. I mean, subscribe to the channel. Like we said, we're gonna have player interviews, coaching interviews. All Star, the All Star weekend is upon us. One of us will be attending that, so we will be getting some good coverage with some of your favorite Astro players, as well as your maybe one of the prospects as well, because the futures game is a part of
Yeah,
that during All Star Week. But let's get
we'll be
started
there.
real quick about this because the Astros are already halfway through the season. 81 games are in the book. Half of the season has gone by, which is very crazy because you just thought about the Astros playing the Mets on opening day, opening weekend at Dyken Park, and now all of a sudden, um, baseball's already almost done, halfway through the season. Like I said, your Houston Astros are 48-33 as their record, first in the American League West, 6.5 games ahead of the Seattle Mariners, as the Mariners did lose their series finale against the Minnesota Twins. The Astros have the second best record in the American League, trailing the Tigers by 3 games. Third best record in Major League Baseball. 7-3 in their last 10 games, 14-6 in the month of June. Now, you would have told me this, that the Astros would be 48-33 with Yordan Alvarez out, almost half of their rotation out, some inconsistent hittings from some key players. Seb, I'll ask you first, really, right here. How impressed are you by the team's performance as we conclude this first half of the season already?
I mean, I'm really impressed by this team from pitching rotation to everybody that plays the field. Everybody was kind of like bamboozled and worried about what was this Astros offense going to provide towards the table. What were they going to do? What was this team defense going to look like? Who was going to be out there? You know, they were not knowing with Tuck gone, with Presley gone, with all these guys getting moved. Everybody was just afraid that the Astros era might have been over. A lot of people were already thinking like, "Oh, these Astros are done." Um, Nobody had us ranked in top 10, top 20. Everybody had us at the bottom of the table of the league, and here we are now on pace to win 96 games. So
Yeah, we got some comments coming in tough. I never had a doubt. But just to go, with Stevan and you said the impressive thing is that they have been able to do it with all the injuries with Jordan Alvarez. So that's the impressive thing. But this is the Astros team that has built this dynasty. This is what they're projected to do. They gut it out. They find ways to win, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. So this is nothing new for the Astros. Being able to have that next man up mentality, uh, having some unsung heroes like, for example, Cooper Herman Game One, having some players step up when when Carlos Correa kind of left, Alex Bregman stepped up, right? When Alex Bregman left, now you have Jerry Pena stepping up as well. So, these guys are, t- you know, getting that leadership, bro, which Jerry Pena is, and riding with that. And now look at it, best season he's had as an Astro so far. Altuve still doing his thing. Yeah, you got maybe Yanni Diaz and Christian Walker not playing to what their potential, but you have guys like Isaac Paredes producing really great. You have Cam Smith coming out of nowhere and being a really productive Astro. Jake Myers again stepping up. A lot of people were giving up on him, and now he's playing great defense and batting cleanup. Very unlikely cleanup guy, but he's doing it. But again, the impressive thing is just that they're doing it with all these injuries because if you know the Ashley, we're familiar with the organization, is that they find ways to win. That's exactly what's going on now.
Yeah, I think Bennett Souza, one of the left-handed pitchers for this bullpen, had recently had an interview, if I'm not mistaken. And one thing that came to mind when the clubhouse is the culture that this clubhouse has built. Like y'all said, I mean, golden era of the Astros baseball. When the Detroit Tigers came into Houston, swept them in that wild card series, it's kind of like, where does Houston go from there? Are they gonna go into a mini rebuild kind of thing because you're about to lose a player during free agency? Is one of your core players from that era, as well as going into the baseball winter meetings with some players that could be trade candidates and put on a table for a package deal. And sure enough, two of them really were, being Kyle Tucker, being one of the best left-handed hitters and five-tool players, I think, in the game right now, as well as Ryan Presley. He's really he's put his legacy in an Astros uniform for a good while with Houston, second in saves in that category, and you trade him away. And look at the package you brought back for Tucker. You got Paredes, who's done a really fantastic job. Hayden Wesneski, of course, you got a little bit of glimpse of him, but due to Tommy John surgery, he got hurt and he will have to miss some of the season coming into next year. Cam Smith was the prize of this package because the Astros haven't had a top prospect in so many years, going back to more than likely Carlos Correa. You can even throw in Alex Bregman too if you want to. But the hype with that kid coming into spring training, doing what he was doing, knowing that he was an infielder, especially, and then got transitioned into an outfielder, what he's done in the big league level in this first half of the season has been very impressive.
Yeah.
Getting a kid that's very athletic and that would be willing to do anything for this team has shown, and his outs above average is insane in right field. So, like you said, I mean, everybody kind of threw off the Astros. They didn't think this team was going to be ranked going into the season. A lot of major league analysts, writers, and columnists did not see this team as a team that was going to win the division. Some may have, but majority looked into more of the Texas Rangers, and you couldn't deny that because Texas does have a great team if they're all healthy. But credit to the front office, credit to the coaching staff, the managers. They've done fantastic jobs from all of that. And this right here, we got the best pitching. That's why, and defense. Them were the two biggest things Houston has really got this season. Was like you said, Angel, next man mentality with all these pitchers. Ronald Blanco going down, Hayden Wisniewski going down, Spencer Arrighetti going down. Ryan Gusto stepped up. Cohen Gordon, one of his best games, one of his best starts, I will say, in an Astros uniform so far. Done a really good job. Brandon Walter, what he's done. I mean, everybody is stepping up every other way. Bennett Sousa in the bullpen, Brian King in the bullpen. They have done an impressive job. And the defense, my gosh, the Astros infield defense wasn't the best last year, but bringing in a new guy that prides on defense in the infield with Tony Perez Chica, a lot of improvement coming from Isaac Paredes, Jeremy Pena, looking like that Gold Glove shortstop that he was. Obviously, Christian Walker being a Gold Glove first baseman that has won 3 of them consecutive awards. So all of that comes into play. Jeremy Pena having one of his, really, honestly, his best offensive season. Jake Myers, best offensive season. And this is happening without a Jordan Alvarez or with Jose Altuve. You don't hear them names as much as you did in them past years. You don't hear them star-studded names. You're hearing guys like Pena. You're hearing guys like Hunter Brown, like Jake Myers, Isaac Paredes. It's insane what this team has done, and it's just credit to, like I said, the front office with Dana Brown getting these little sneaky signings here with Stephen O'Kurt, bringing in Bennett Sousa a while back, Taylor Scott. We can go on with this list, but what he has done, and then of course the coaching from Joe Espada, the managing decisions going to 5 lefties in one game, which was insane, and being able to win that game. Just like I said, credit to the whole staff. I don't know if y'all have anything else to add, but I think I proved my point.
No, just to add on to your Cam Smith, imagine that he's been really great right now. I think he ranks fourth in rookies on WAR. What's his wins above average? And out of rookies who've had gotten more than 60 at bats in the season, he's um third in batting average too in that category. So he's been tremendous. Should get some rookie of the year votes, maybe in the conversation for sure. But this team is just resilient. It's literally the word for for the franchise being able to win the way they do, get people up. You probably don't even know their names, and they're over there producing like they're veterans out there. So just a resilient team.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add on this Cam Smith stuff that we're over here talking about. So these are stats of Cam's first 30 games and his last recent 34 games. So his average in his first 30 games was 214, and his last 34 is 300. On base percentage, first 30 games, 313. Last 34, 359. His OPS 659, now 805. An average with runners in scoring position. First games were .280, now 333.
Yeah, just needed time.
The kid's just clutch, especially like two out hitting, no out hitting, just to move the runner over, situational hitting. Like he's not trying to kill the ball out of the ballpark. He's just trying to find somewhere to get it to touch grass and bring somebody in or over.
Yeah, like his big league approaches. I mean, they're not even close to minor league. He's only played a couple of minor league games, but he's been in those big moments. And one of these moments was in this series as well against the Phillies. I mean, he's played in I would say, one of the biggest baseball games in baseball. Period. Besides Major League, you go to college and College World Series. That's pretty damn big. Going over there to Omaha, being able to do it on the bright stage, and he's done that with Florida State, and he's just had that mindset of being competitive. That like if I don't get it this time, then the next one, the next at bat that I'm gonna go at, I'm gonna go all in. And sure enough, I mean, every time you see him make one of these clutch hits or big plays, the emotion, everything comes out from these young kids. And I do want to make a statement on that because this team it has a lot of veterans. You can't say it doesn't. Jordan Alvarez is a veteran. Of course, Jose Altuve is a veteran. You sprinkle in a little bit of young guys with like not young, but not veterans yet with Jerry Pena, Yainer Diaz, Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez being a vet as well. But then you bring this young mix, and we've talked about an Angel with Cohen Gordon, with Cam Smith, with Ryan Gusto, Jacob Melton. I'm pretty sure Bryce Matthews is going to be coming up this season pretty soon. You're bringing a little bit of everything, and it's just gelling just perfectly for this team
Yeah.
because it gets this veteran side of it like excited, but the veterans at the same time too hold accountability to these young guys, letting them know how to do this, how to do that, kind of like showing them the ropes of what a big leaguer is all about. And it's just like I said, it's been perfectly gelled all together.
Yeah, it's a perfect balance for sure. Like, just think about the Rockets when they started drafting Jalen Green. They were a young team early in the beginning, and so they kind of struggled. But then you had like Dylan Brooks from Fleet get that veterans and kind of teach the young guns and bam, they're a playoff team. Same thing with his Astros, like you said, perfect balance there. Uh, it's just everything's gelling together, coming alive, and it looks good.
Yeah, these Astros, whenever they went for this small or minor reload, I was not thinking that it was gonna just click and get up and run like this. And it did get ugly because injuries, but despite the injuries, they just rubbed it off and found people to plug in and play for this team. Just it's phenomenal work for these guys. So you just have everybody have that next man up mentality. Even Pena mentioned on his story, this is a team full of dogs.
Yeah, well, and honestly starts with Jose Altuve because if you look at Jose Altuve playing second base his entire career, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we need you to play in the outfield." A young guy like Cam Smith looks at that. I was like, "Well, if this Hall of Famer, who's possibly going to be the best Astro, you know, of all time, is able to, is willing to do this for the team, then who am I to say no? I'm not going to be playing the outfield, right?" So again, it all starts with him. Just his selflessness to lead, to do what's best for the team rubs off on everybody else, and everybody just wants the best for the team, and it all starts at the top.
Yeah, you make a good point because we can look at the starting pitching too as well. Your ace has always been Framber Valdez, but knowing that free agency is coming this year, Hunter Brown can take that next step, and he has done an absolute phenomenal job doing that. Going into this ace role, that he can take over this pitching staff whenever and if Framber Valdez decides to leave from the Astros. He's basically showing you like, hey, I'm able to lead this staff as the newest face of this rotation. So, like you said, you're vibing into it and you're getting through it, and it's just it's temptations. Like you can't really like say nothing bad about it because everybody wants to be able to contribute some way and somehow. And like you said, Angel, if Cam Smith looks at Jose Altuve saying, "Damn, if he can go from second base with knowing that he's like about what 5'5", 5'6", maybe 5'4", going to left field, learning a new position for a good 2 months, then how can I not do it?" So
Yeah.
it just perfectly balanced, like you said. This team is perfectly balanced with youth and veteran presence, and of course, you have a second-year manager in Joe Spada getting this opportunity to manage this team. It's just done a really fantastic job all around for the Houston Astros.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I feel like we can go on and on about how impressive this team's been. But let's get started with. Go ahead.
Real quick, let us know in the
Yeah.
comments too what y'all think. We've already blanded and ranted and all that good stuff about it. You want to throw one word in there, by all means, go in there and do it. But yeah, get started, Angel.
Yeah, absolutely. And this series, like I said in the pitching preview last time, is going to be a pitcher's duel, and Ranger Suarez and Fran Valdez were the table setters for that because they both did amazing jobs. Let's start. As our podcast, let's focus on Valdez. Fran Valdez went 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. If you look at the first 6 innings in this matchup, Suarez was cruising, and the Phillies made Framber Valdez work. He had to get some double plays to get out the innings. Really had to pitch through traffic a little bit. If you're looking at that game from the outside, you're thinking Framber Valdez is the first one to give up some runs, but obviously that's not the case. Just Framber Valdez, I'm going to say it now. I know we had a conversation at the beginning. He's not the same Valdez where he lets the emotion gets the best of him. That's I think so far that's kind of changed because he's been able. Yes, there was a call this game where he wanted to get the strike. He showed his frustration, and guess what? Gets back in and gets him out again. So he's kind of growing in that aspect. He only did have 3 swings and misses compared to Suarez's 10. He did only use 3 pitches in his outing, 41 sinkers, 34 curveballs, 17 changes, but both of them again pitchers duel. But shout out to Valdez for to working through traffic and finding a way to give the Astros a chance to win. And all he needed was one run. Cooper Hummel, go ahead home run. Unlikely hero, I would say, because you have guys like Jose Altuve, Christian Walker, Yanni Diaz, and they couldn't do anything really against Suarez. And it's kind of hard when Suarez is dealing like that. He had a no hitter going through the first 6 innings before Yanni Diaz hit a single. But unlikely hero, just Cooper Hummel got a hanging slider away, and you do what you do. Take it the other way, right? When you if you would have tried to pull that pitch, you're looking probably at a fly ball out. But the fact you took it the other way, got the Astros on the lead, and that's all it took.
Yeah, this was a really, really good matchup right here. Framber and Ranger Suarez, both of them dog mentalities. Both of them not wanting to give up a hit, not wanting to give up a run, not give up walks. They were just attacking the zone, having hitters fooled, having them uncomfortable at the play on both sides, and especially for Ranger going in and taking the Astros no hitters, hitless into like 6 innings, I believe. But
Yeah,
despite Framber running into little trouble, I just like how he went deep down and instead of getting emotional, instead of getting frustrated, he grabbed his cojones and said, "You know what? I need to take care of this team. This team right here is 0-0. Nobody's hitting on both sides yet. Let's keep this game close. Nobody's winning this game yet." So I want to give a shout out Hummel too, stepping up, facing one of the game's best after being in and out, down, and all these transactions, and not hitting a home run in a couple of years as well to come back and just kind of plug in and just be an average big leaguer, step up and ready for the big moment.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, the guys don't have Jacob Melton out there because Jacob Melton was on this roster. He'd be playing right now in left field. Zach DeZenzo's the
yeah,
same way. Taylor Trammell just got off the IL. So who's up? Who's getting the opportunity? Who's going to step up? Cooper Hummel. I think a lot of Astro fans did not have Cooper Hummel hitting a go-ahead home run to give the Astros a 1-0 lead going into the ninth inning. So yes, unsung hero, fantastic job being able to get his name called. You saw the excitement, you saw the joy of him rounding first base and even getting into that Astros dugout. And just to, of course, tell everybody about Framber Valdez, this is the ground ball king. 13 ground balls in this game against a Philly offense that has not just contact, but they have speed as well on the base path with Sosa, Trey Turner. And they just done a really good job, Framber, keeping them off balance, throwing them 3-pitch mix. Of course, he does have that 4-seam fastball, but he's not
yeah,
always going to be comfortable with it. Maybe had a different game plan. Sinker and curveball is the bread and butter, like we always said. Changeup was a big difference maker, getting that induced
yeah.
ground ball. So just another shout out to Framber winning that matchup against Ranger Suarez.
And if you haven't seen Suarez pitch, he can really feel his position. Like
Two
that thing was what
comebacks.
2 camera, yeah, and then one the double play, the other one a really good snag there too. But I mean, it was a really great outing for both. But before we move on to game 2 and all that stuff, I do want to spark this conversation. Since we're out about the thing again, Joyce. Dana Brown said they're really looking for left-handed bats, and then I think we tweeted out that Jason Hayward was available. Again, we didn't really say the Astros should get this guy. It was more like, what are your thoughts? And there was a lot of mixed feelings on that aspect. What do y'all guys think? Do the Astros ride with Cooper Hummel? You think he's gonna be able to do this, or do they kind of look at Jason Hayward a little bit?
I'm a little in between. I feel like maybe going with the younger guy, not so much younger, but the younger guy might be the better opportunity just because he'll be more um, agile out there and be able to make plays on the field and probably be less injury prone. But you do have the veteranship of Jason Hayward that's, could be like a Michael Brantley type of role for this Astros team, helping these guys hit and, little tips and tricks that these young guys might need to help feed off this lineup. It could not just be just on the field; it could be mental things also as well.
Yeah, and just to add on to that with the veteran presence, I think Jason Hayward being in this outfield just helps a little bit more depth with this team. And I'm in the same zone as Steban with mix. Like I'm kind of like, yeah, they could, and then yeah, they really shouldn't. But if they do, you bring in a veteran player that's won gold gloves. And I remember talking to Mauricio Dubon last year about Jason Hayward, and he's like, man, they don't give gold gloves for no reason. They don't give him at all. He has that gold patch on his glove for a reason. And he learned a lot from Jason through his time with Houston, that little small stint, that last part of that season last year. So the veteran presence does go a long way, especially with a lot of young players, a lot of young outfielders that this Astro team have, with Jacob Melton coming up, Jose Altuve still learning a new position as well. Um, Jake Myers, Cam Smith. I mean, the list goes on and on. So bringing a guy like that, bringing his veteran presence, like we've been preaching about for a good while, that can help out the Astros as well as a left-handed bat. Yeah, it's not going to be a pretty prize name that you would want at a trade deadline like a Jaron Duran or a Ryan O'Hearn type of guy, but maybe his left-handed bat could do something during his time in Houston. And like I said, I'm like Stevan. I'm kind of in the mix of both, the in between. Yeah, they should, and yeah, they got enough guys that they can be able to do without.
And this is the type of move that's not gonna break the bank either. It's not gonna hurt our
Exactly.
pocket. But the best thing that this move could do is literally everything could go contribute towards Cam Smith's future of his career.
Yeah.
Anything he could pick up from Jason Hayward, like Jason Hayward would be the perfect person to pretty much set the tone and give him a layout of what to do and what not to do. And Cam is just somebody that he's like a sponge. You could tell he just loves the game of baseball. He loves to learn. He loves to listen, and that's what I love about this kid.
And just to add
Y-
one more thing, real quick, Angel, before you
Yeah.
move on, right field was Jason Hayward's primary position when he was brought up with the Braves. So he has a lot of experience in that right field. And like you said, Cam's a guy that likes to absorb things and just soak up as many tips and knowledge that these guys can give him. So just want to throw that real quick.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Steph. That's all I was gonna say. That kind of veteran presence is the biggest factor, right? Because honestly, like Cooper Hummel, yes, great at bat, put up a home run to win the game, but you're not gonna get that every day. Right now he's batting 211. He's only had 19 appearances, and he's a switch hitter. That's what the advantage is, right? But guys like Dr. Zenzo and then like you said, Cam Smith could really learn from a guy like Jason Hayward. Again, I'm not advocating for him. If the Astros don't get him, oh well, that's it's not gonna hurt the team, but it could also help the team having this veteran guy there. But I mean, it's whatever they decide to do. If they do, great. They don't. We just want to get your thoughts on it. But y'all did bring up some good points. So I mean, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because y'all really did a really great job of you know explaining that.
So you're 50-50 then, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do great. Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
But
so moving on here, we'll be going on to game two. The Astros win this one 2-0, and this is one that everybody was kind of iffy about because this was going to be a real test for Colton Gordon against a big playoff team, um, a very dangerous lineup that came in hot, and these Astros just put that fire out and kept these guys hitless, kept these guys scoreless. So Gordon, with an outing the Astros needed, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs. This is what I love to hear every time. 0 walks, just perfect. Why are you going to feed anybody in the extra step? Why are you going to give extra bases when you don't need to? And this is what exactly Gordon comes in to do. He just comes in, eats up the strike zone. 71% strikes in this game, 4 Ks, 80 pitches, and 57 strikes were called. He produced 10 whiffs and showed lots of passion and energy coming off the mound. Also, one thing I want to put out there, I believe Colton Gordon has gone five or more innings in his start since the bad one against the Royals. And Gordon is 50% of his strikeouts. Gordon has a 50% strikeout looking rate, which is the highest in baseball this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon was giving up a lot of hard hits. Don't get me wrong. He did a really good job. And we already talked about too with Gordon, that exit velo is pretty damn high. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now, 90.6, 94.4, 95.8, 106, 107, 95. So coming off that bat, I mean, it's going. It's going quick. So we knew that was going to happen with Gordon. He does get hit a lot. I think the expected batting average, if I'm not mistaken, was about like 300 against him in this outing. But other than that, like you said, and Angel and I preach about this: walks equals runs. Giving men free base can equal runs real quick for that team. And Gordon has been one of the best Astro starters to not allow a lot of walks. I mean, I think we had talked about in the preview, 99 percentile with his walk rate. So credit to Gordon showing that, like you had mentioned, Steban, showing that passion off the mound whenever there was a big play made from Taylor Trammell in left field or a big out in the inning came through. You could see him showing that emotion, yelling, screaming. You'd love to see that from a young cat.
One thing
Yeah.
also I want to say about Gordon too is that whenever people heard about Gordon, everybody was like, "Who is this guy? This guy's a nobody." Even guys that don't watch the Astros, guys that don't follow the Astros organization, they call him a nobody. And Gordon has, especially against this Phillies lineup, pretty much told the world, "Go screw yourself. I'm a force to be reckoned. I'm here. I'm a big leaguer. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Come and hit me."
Yeah, I think Team Israel has found their ace in the World Baseball Classic, if, for
Yep.
future ones, because
He's a
Coach, yeah, because Colton
He,
Gordon has been
he
pitching
pitched
his,
I think, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, last year. I mean, the
yeah,
last
but he
year.
was, yeah, but he was more of like, the bottom end of the bowl, starting rotation there, but I think he's gonna be the, getting the game one for sure. But like you said, I was just going based on your points. So his average exit velo is 89.8, which is actually not too bad, 42 percentile there. But what saves him from those disastrous innings, like we said, that walk rate and him being able to attack the zone and get batters out is really productive. I think he's really not surprised the Astros. Well, I want to say surprised the Astros because again he was their number 14 ranked prospect, but really shown what he can do. It's one thing pitching in the minors, it's a different thing, pitching in the majors, and the fact that he's able to have this much success, I think you're looking at Colton Gordon possibly competing for the rotation next year too. Because I'm sure once Christian Javier comes back, Luis Garcia comes back, Les McCullers, they're gonna Colton Gordon obviously might be in the bullpen, but next year I'm sure he will compete for one of those five starting spots.
Yeah, and even Hayden, because you'll even have some guys even missing the rotation with Hay Wisniewski, Ronel Blanco, that they'll be off of the rotation. But Gordon doing a good job, and he's been with the Astros. He got drafted by the Astros in 21, and he's gone through the Rule 5 draft too as well. So the resilience, like you said about this team, just in general, they're always been resilient. Even Gordon himself, the determination, the motivation, all that has like made him a better pitcher and better player, and being able to keep his composure down and in big situations and against good teams like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the bullpen was just absolutely phenomenally lights out. Brian King, Bennett Souza, Stephen O'Kerr, Josh Hader, combined 3 hits, 6 Ks. First time in Astros history they used 5 left-handed pitchers in the game.
Yeah, I think it's they're the third team to do it. I know the Mets and I know I'm sorry, I know the Marlins were one, and I want to say Toronto for the
Yep,
other
the
one, but I
Blue
could be
Jays,
wrong.
2023 Marlins and the 2008 Toronto Blue Jays. Very impressive too, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the Astros have enough lefties to put five consecutive lefties because I know that's been the biggest thing a few years ago, where they had to have Will Smith as a lefty in the back because they didn't have anybody else. But they had a mission to go get these lefties, and there you go, five straight.
No, yeah, exactly. We didn't have no lefties before, and then I look at this
I think
freaking
the
spawn that these
I
guys
think the
just straight
Astros
up
did
and
have a
down.
lefty. I think they did, and it was Tony Sip.
There you go, Tony said.
It was only one. It was
And
only
then
one.
after that, it was what Will Smith, right? And
Will Smith was a right-handed pitcher.
no, he wasn't. He was a lefty.
Oh yeah, Will Smith. Yeah, I'm thinking of
Yeah,
Will Harris. My mistake.
yeah.
My mistake.
Will Harris was right.
Yeah. So
One thing I did want to bring up as well. This was I know that Braden to make appearance this night, but Josh Hader did. And since 2022, Brian Abreu 340 strikeouts, Josh Hader 326. Is this the best 1-2 punch in the back end of baseball right now?
I mean, it's potential, yeah. I mean, there's some good ones. I'm definitely know it's top five for sure, just because you can even say top three right now because Brian King has done really an amazing job too.
I'll
Yeah, but I
say,
was just talking about Abreu
No,
and Hader.
yeah,
yeah, he's
Yeah,
just throwing
yeah,
little two
the rest
cents
of the
in there.
guys, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But Abreu and Hader, fantastic job. Yeah, and I don't know, being the best 8-9 guy, being the setup man and your closer, but they're right there. Either
Yeah,
top,
definitely top
I'd
five, top
say
three.
top
For
three,
sure.
honestly,
Yeah,
because Brian Abreu has been lights out. I would even say for Abreu to get a bid for the All Star game, he has been lights out for this team. So has Josh Hader, but Brian Abreu being able to be in some clutch situations, and even if Hader is out for the game that can be pitched through, obviously Brian Abreu is going to be your guy to be the closer for that game, and he's done a fantastic job just being that setup guy for from his time being in Houston. So I'm just gonna say I think Abreu should have a bid in this All Star game coming up for Atlanta. I know usually it's typically your closers getting that type of bid for it, but
yeah,
Brian Abreu has a strong case to me, at least personally, for a bid for to a trip to Atlanta.
yeah. He's 2-3 with a 1.78 ERA. Already
Who,
pitched 35.5
Abreu?
innings. So
I
yeah,
think
Bray.
3-3 after today.
Oh,
Yeah, he
probably
got
hasn't
the win
updated.
today.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the
Yeah,
win.
so it hasn't
Three,
updated.
two wins, I believe, this series.
So it's probably that means his ERA is probably even lower now. It probably hasn't updated in baseball
And
reference.
when you look at Josh Hader's stats, he is 5-1 with a 173 ERA. So almost similar to Brian Abreu.
Yeah.
What pops out to me in this is 5-1 record. Like, my gosh, that's that is crazy that Josh Hader has a 5-1 record. That's almost a starter record in any
Yeah.
rotation.
Yeah.
But of course, you've seen the Astros play these extra inning games. They've done a really good job, and sure enough, they win. But good point by Kevin too, saying that Ben Souza has been going off too. I thought that was a good signing when Houston had brought him. Had that potential in that last part of the season when he pitched for Houston. Did get hurt, and then he hadn't pitched since this past year, and he's done a really good job being in that bullpen.
Well, I think the uh Hater being 5-1 comes from all those extra inning games because that's their record in extra inning games for the Astros. Yeah. And they
Yeah,
have 22 come from behind wins as well. So that
damn,
helps.
it's fire. Speaking of Bennett Souza, I've seen that Kevin Cerner mentioned him. I wanted to bring up Stephen O'Curr and Bennett Souza at home this season. Stephen O'Curr has 20 innings pitched. Souza has 15.1. O'Curr with a 0.89 ERA. Souza with a 0.59 ERA. O'Curr with a 0.49 whip. And Souza has a 0.52 whip. 29 strikeouts, one walk for O'Curr. 20 strikeouts for Souza, one walk. And these are guys who are just under the radar players too. These ain't your break your bank reliever guys that you're going out there to get. These ain't guys that you're sending packages for. These are pretty much farm talent or guys that have been written off by other programs.
And I'm gonna go back to this comment right here because like I talked to the scouting department for the Astros to be able to get guys that might have a little tweak in them or have a little mechanical issue that they're able to fix, but see the talent and see the potential that these players have.
And this is credit to Joe Spot, not Joe Spot, Dana Brown,
Yeah,
the
that's
Stephen
scouting.
O'Kurt,
Yeah.
the scouting eye that he has and that he brings to Houston, knowing that Houston didn't have. I'm not saying they. Jeff Luno, of course, had his time with that era. Then you had the James Click era, but you didn't have a really strong farm system. So who did you need to hire? Well, obviously you would need a guy that can handle the scouting department, but you got a GM coming from Atlanta that was a VP of scouting for the Braves, and you saw him bring in guys like Acuna, Austin Riley, Ozzy Albies. You saw all these young talent that they brought in, and he just has that eye for it. I'm not saying Bennett Souza or Stephen O'Kurt's them type of guys, but he's done a really good job seeing these guys that have been placed on waivers or DFA'd and being able to swoop them up and help them out, bring a new home to for them, and even the Astros pitching staff and the department that they have are continuing to produce really good pitchers after they had mediocre seasons with their opposing team, and then coming to Houston, they just flourish every time they go out there.
Yeah.
But besides the fact of this phenomenal pitching rotation, let's go ahead and touch base with the offensive game too. Isaac Paredes with the RBI single up the middle in the first, and Victor Caratini power with an insurance solo shot bomb onto the track. And the Astros here only needed 5 hits to get through this Phillies game, and only 2 runs. So it's very, very, very pitchers dual type of matchups here. But the Astros were able to fight through it, even though both teams were lots of strikeouts in this game. Got through it.
Yeah, the Astros just went to the bullpen at this point. Zach Wheeler, of course,
Yeah.
one of the best pitchers in the National League, got through him, and they just said, you know what, let's just try to see if we can get through the bullpen. Sure enough, Wheeler did end up getting the loss, but even getting that insurance from Caratini, I mean, you've seen him come up with some clutch scenarios and situations in the game, and he produces even with that big hit being almost all the time a home run. I swear, every time Caratini comes up,
Yeah.
the
It's
big
awesome.
hit is a home run majority of the time.
It's like another
Yeah.
Michael.
And a big key to that is being able to hit the breaking ball. Like he's had 11 hits. I'm sorry, 25 hits off the fastball, but in the breaking ball, he's batting 324 and has an effective slugging of 377 on that breaking ball alone. So, and he has 2 home runs again on a breaking ball, like on types of breaking pitches. But he's just a good hitter all around, being able to hit the fastball, but also adjust to the off speed and breaking ball. You know, he's been a really good factor for the Astros, especially with Jordan Alvarez being out, being able to plug him in at first or catch or even DH. Just having his bat in the lineup gives you some veteran, mature at bats that the Astros really desperately need.
And then with the way Victor Caratini is playing so well, it's starting to make a case for like, do you want to bring this guy back next season? Like, do you need this guy, especially with Yainer Diaz being his guy, and then also you got Walker Janet coming up to the farm pretty fast. Another catcher that's a prospect for the Astros. Would you want somebody like Caratini to kind of pave the way out for him too, or would you leave that onto your coaching staff and Yainer Diaz?
I'd say Victor Caratini makes a great one punch with Yanier Diaz. I, I know Cesar Salazar has us good in the small, at bats he does get, but again, that's a small sample size, and
Mhm.
it's a long, stressful season. Guys go through hot streaks and then all of a sudden slump down. But the thing with Victor Contreras is he's consistent. The consistent thing is he's gonna give you great at bats, no matter he plays 1 time a week, 3 times a week. Whenever his numbers caught at the plate, he's gonna give you that great quality at bat.
Yeah, and then just to add on to that, you talked about the offensive point, and I'll even throw a little offensive part in it is the switch hitter. Coming
Yeah.
into some situations, if let's say they bring in a lefty, you want to go put a righty in, you can bring in Caratini. That's why you always have, if you're the Astros, you can have a three catcher setup with Cesar Salazar being that third option for the Astros. But his versatility as well. I mean, him being behind the plate for Houston, of course, but he's even expanded his role from last year, knowing that they DFA'd Brian Abreu, not Brian, Jose Abreu, and then they needed somebody to step up at first base. It was John Singleton, you had Mauricio Dubon, Yainer Diaz, even Victor Caratini. Caratini gave it a shot at first base. So if they have to go to like a third option or a fourth option, then you have a guy that can go play out at first base. And then plus he can play a DH as well. He's played some DH this past season. And like Angel said, his consistency has been one of the biggest things in this Astros offensive approach for this team. And it would only make sense, in my opinion, for them to re-sign Caratini back. But at the end of the day, it's up to Caratini as well because you see the way he plays. Just think about it if he plays every single day for Houston.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's some teams that could need a starter like him, so maybe he gets a good deal for him for starting role. I'm sure he'll take that.
And speaking of offense here, I wanted to touch bases, but this is something that might shock a lot of Astros fans and a lot of baseball statisticians because Isaac Paredes, and this is his splits for 38 games home and 38 on the road. So at home, he's batting 250 average. So everybody here was, when they first got Paredes, we're thinking this guy's going to kill the ball at Minute Maid. I mean, not Minute Maid, Dyken Park. This guy's just going to be an animal at Dyken. And, last season he wasn't really much of a road dog, but this year he sure as heck stepped it up because with a 250 average at home, he has a 257 average on the road, 362 on base percentage at home, 358 on the road, 493 slugging at home, 450 slugging on the road, 8 home runs, 23 RBIs at home, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs on the road. So he's dang near a mirror image of himself on the road and at home.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I
muted, though.
think yeah, you
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. When the Astros made this trade, I remember me and Angel talking to the side before we started our episode, and me and him agreed this was a good package for the Astros to bring in a guy like this. You filled that third base role, knowing that Alex Bregman might not return to Houston, so you're safe, and you got a guy over there that could play that hot corner. But his bat, it's very consistent. That he's been an All Star for a reason with Tampa Bay, Chicago. Not everything is going to go your way because you have the wind playing in
yeah.
effect at Wrigley Field. But in at Daikin Park so far, you got a closed roof. You have the Crawford boxes to your advantage. You've already heard him too. He can pull the ball. If it's in the outside part of the plate, he's going to pull the ball some way, somehow. So having Paredes on this team, I think it was just a great addition. Even if Alex Bregman would have came back, it still would have been a great addition to have him either play third base or second base.
And get this, everybody was talking about Paredes' defense and how that's not going to be able to replicate what Alex Bregman did. Well, Isaac Paredes right now leads the AL with 73 starts at third base. Right? Among AL third base, he ranks first in home runs, first in RBIs, and first in runs. And honestly, did you see that throw he made, nabbing that runner out at home?
Oh, yeah,
He's,
going towards the foul line and
yeah,
avoiding the runner and getting the out.
and then using the base as leverage to get a little, pushing himself on the outside of the line just so he makes a good throw. And he's been a really good third baseman. And the fact that the Astros are trusting him to be there every day shows the ability of his defenses there. And he's just honestly been playing. I might get some heat for this, but he's been playing at par to what Alex Bregman does, honestly.
Yeah, and then not to mention too, we talked to Perez Chica about who's improved as a defensive infielder because this is his first time ever interacting with any of the Astros infielders. The first name to mind was Isaac Paredes. He has tremendously improved his defensive game, and of course, he wasn't a strong defender. He was about an average defender, but he's now trending into above average, and he could possibly be an elite defender as well because he's still young and he still has the potential to continue being one of the top third basemen in the American League.
And then
He's
before we finish off here, I also wanted to touch base with Josh Hader. 21 for 21 in save opportunities in this game to start the season, which matches a franchise record set by Dave Smith in 1989.
Wow, 1989.
And then behind him was also Dave Smith, but in 1987. So and then for the fourth on that list, you have Robert Ozuna, 13 in 2019.
Roberto Osuna. I think all Astro fans remember that name.
Yeah. And we had just talked about him last stream too. We were just like, we have mentioned him about something.
Yeah, the Astros have had some good closers through the years of this franchise. I mean, throw another guy out there is Jose Valverde. I don't know if y'all remember that closer. That was back in the 2007, 2008 era. But
and then I know some Jose Ramirez, like obviously Isaac Perez was fifth in that All Star vote. Jose Ramirez was first, but right now Isaac Perez has more assists than Jose Ramirez, has a better fielding percentage than Ramirez and Bregman. He also has more assists than Bregman too, and just the WAR is tied with Jose Ramirez there too. So I mean, he's done really amazing.
This is an MVP caliber
Yeah.
player. Well, we'll have this all-star talk in a minute just here coming soon. Let's just get through game 3 real quick. Astros did pick up the dub in that one 2-1. Hunter Brown being Hunter Brown, 7 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 9 strikeouts, 7 scoreless innings from the Diesel. 96 pitches were thrown, 61 strikes, 16 swing and misses as well. The biggest thing about this kind of cat and mouse game is who's going to give in because Philly has a really good team that hits the fastball pretty damn good. And Hunter Brown's four-seamer has been a good opponent batting average, about a $106, if I'm not mistaken. So something had to give, and sure enough, Hunter Brown just dominated with that fastball, throwing it right by them. Drops his ERA to a 174. We've already mentioned this before, and we're going to say it again. This guy is going to be a Cy Young candidate at the end of the season. If he continues what he's been doing this first half of the season, it's going to continue on into that second half. Potentially, if the Astros do make the postseason, it would help a lot. But he's just making a great case for himself to not just be the future ace of this franchise, but letting the world know, like, hey, I am that dog to compete with guys like Tariq Skubal, Max Fried, Garrett Crochet. I mean, them are some top dogs right there that have been some all stars. And honestly, Hunter Brown's going to be a first time all star going to Atlanta as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing Hunter Brown, doing Hunter Brown things. He's also third in WHIP, and it's only by two, by two percentages. A school ball has a 0.87. Hunter Brown comes in at 0.89. So he's right in there with the best. And this is the future for the Astros, honestly, because he's done a tremendous job. You predicted as though that Hunter Brown would get some Cy Young votes, and it's here. He's like Hunter Brown has arrived, and I'm sure he's here to stay.
Yeah, this guy's like dang near the second coming of Nolan Ryan, in my opinion. He's just
Damn.
phenomenal.
It's a,
I
and
mean,
I,
it's a little
that's
early
a
there,
big
but like, this guy, like, he's
that's
a
a
dog.
big statement, right there.
I mean, this guy's early in his career, yes, but he's a dog. He has a lot to go, but I feel like he can slowly start climbing the milestones eventually. Um, One thing that I wanted to bring up, since he has the best ERA since 2024, minimum 107 innings pitched. Hunter Brown 2.22 ERA, followed by Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez. Framber 2.29 and Skubal 2.5 ERA. So you have two notable Astros on the best ERA since June last year. That's, I mean, perfect. You're one and two guys right there.
And then Hunter Brown also has the lowest ERA through the first 16 starts of the season for the Astros. Nolan Ryan's on the list. There you go, Esteban right there for 1.29. That happened in 1981. The Rocket, Roger Clemens, 1.15 2005. Then you got Justin Verlander next 2018 with a 1.60. Hunter Brown is fourth on the list with a 1.74 in 2025, of course. And then you got Bob Nepper, 1.80 in 1981. So there you go. He's up there with the best of the best in Astros history, honestly.
Yeah, Roger Clemens. I don't know if he'll ever be in the Hall of Fame. He should, in my opinion. But Justin Verlander, future Hall of Famer. Nolan Ryan's already a Hall of Famer. So continue to pitch this way, man. He's on the way to that track to going to Cooperstown, New York. But what he has done so far, the first half of this season for this Astros pitching staff has just been really phenomenal, very consistent so far this season. But going on real quick with the offense, Yonder Diaz started off for the Astros with that RBI single. Cam Smith, like we had talked about, always wants to be in the big moment of these type of games, being a tied game, ending the scoreless streak, being 25 scoreless innings from the Astros pitching staff against the Phillies. They would end up tying it on a Brian King giving up a run. But like I said, real quick, Cam Smith going ahead with that RBI single over the shortstop's head in the eighth. You saw the passion, the energy, the yelling from the kid at first base. And sure enough, the Astros would sweep the Philadelphia Phillies of this 22 World Series rematch. I mean, it was just a great series overall. And let's get to that quick with the overall thoughts. Statement series, I will say, in my opinion, for this Astros ball club. Phillies, the Fine Phils were on a 8-game winning streak coming into this series. Your 1-2 punch. Of course, we know Gordon did pitch in between, but Framber Valdez setting the tone, and then Hunter Brown being in the back part of that finale, dominating the good offensive lineup like we have talked about before. Both, even including Cone Gordon, held them to 0 runs as a starter rotation. And then not to say nothing bad about these other guys, but no MVP big names had a big moment. The Jordan Alvarez is, of course, he's on the IL, but the Jose Altuve's, as well as Jeremy Pena, because he was a World Series MVP, they didn't have the big moment. It's just passing the baton to the next guy and stepping up in critical at bats. Cooper Hummel, like we had preached about. Victor Caratini again, that insurance run. Cam Smith with that go-ahead RBI single. Them are big names that you do not hear, like the Altuve's, like I had mentioned. And it's very impressive to see Houston being able to win games without their star players having to do the big hit.
Yeah, Houston has a lot of, I would like to say, not MVPs, but in my opinion, they're MVPs in their own way, because everybody's valuable to this team at the moment. Everybody's situationals, drawing walks, getting on base, hitting home runs whenever you really desperately needed. And I mean, Cam just putting the ball in play. Like he was down in the count and still digs deep and finds a way to smack the ball over Trey Turner and don't tread lightly over the hustle of the runner coming in as well.
I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
Esau Perez. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
The
it was
short
Esau.
right.
That's what I'm saying. He was don't tread lightly on him. He was moving them.
Man, but since we're on that offensive part of this overall thought, staying composed, I would like to title this part. All three Philly starters had quality starts, and Angel had talked about the pitching preview. Those guys are going to go out there and dominate. Christopher Sanchez is an all-star. Of course, Cy Young candidate
All
with Zach
lefties as
Wheeler.
well.
Ranger Suarez, I mean, the moment is always there. He's thrown almost a no-hitter in some of these games, and in the postseason, he is a different animal. So seeing those type of guys go out there, Astros strikeouts as well. The offensive wasn't strong, like Steban had mentioned. A lot of runners in scoring position, not to mention as well. But real quick with the strikeouts, Tuesday, as a team, they had 8 total strikeouts, 7 coming from Suarez. Wednesday, double digits, 10 strikeouts, 8 coming from Wheeler. And Thursday, 11 strikeouts coming from Christopher Sanchez. So being able to still find a way to win these type of games, it's just very impressive. Just very impressive.
absolutely. These are the games that kind of leave you seeing what you got on the field. And right now, if this was, this could honestly be a World Series, prediction again. You have two teams that are playing really good. The fact that the Astros won all three, I won't even say in dominant fashion, but I mean, I would say for the starting pitching, Buffalo was dominant, right? But the fact that the offense was able to scratch and claw for some runs, that's just a positive outside that a team that they might be able to, might see again, the same pitches that they might see again. So now they have an idea what they got. Really good series.
Yeah, the Phillies threw the best at us what they could, and the Astros. I mean, even though each pitcher had their own quality starting and shoving, they still found a way to at least cause some type of havoc eventually. You wish you could cut down on the strikeouts, but there's not much you can do whenever you have such good pitching as in Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez. These guys are some of the top pitchers in the league right now. So these guys are not no chumps. It's not like they just threw anybody out there to face these Astros lineup. No, these Astros faced a really solid rotation right here.
Yeah, and not to mention they only got 5 extra base hits in this series. Pena had 2 doubles, Humble had a home run, Caratini had a home run, and Christian Walker had a double. So being able to not, you're getting guys on via walks or singles, but the doubles, of course, Pena had 2 leadoff doubles, but the biggest ones coming involved was the Humble home run as well as the Caratini home run. Last but not least, real quick, phenomenal pitching. We had preached about this throughout this whole recap. Starters did their job. Bullpen was nails, and Josh Hader continues to be Josh Hader, being perfect, 21 for 21 in save opportunities. So it was a very frustrating if you're a Phillies fan or just a Phillies in general. That is a very frustrating series to lose to against Houston because it was a winnable series and a bunch of winnable games. Honestly, you could have had the sweep if you're Philadelphia, but the Astros doing a really good job. I would say compared to last season to this season is close run games, close run ball games. They are doing a very fantastic job being able to be lights out with their pitching and being in the clutch with their hitting.
Yeah, the Astros are 16-7 in one-run games.
17.
You know, oh yeah, sorry, 17. There you go, and 7 in one-run games. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, and that's after only winning 18 one-run games last season. So
And this is
compare
only half
last
the
year's
season.
team to this year's team, and honestly, this year's team is just blowing last year's out the water. Like with everything that we have, minus the stuff that we had last season, this is great.
Yeah, and we'll have to see what the future holds for this Houston team because a future could be in the makes for a player that's been with Houston for a good while now, Jeremy Pena. Of course, we've heard about him being a Scott Boras client because he just recently hired Scott Boras to be his agent to represent him. And the contract extensions were in the mix before Boras was hired on. And this is per R.A. Alexander. Quote, multiple sources have told me over the past few months, Astros star shortstop Jeremy Pena and the Astros have been in deep discussions on a potential contract extension. Those sources have told me that extension will have been a 5-year deal that was worth more than 105 million. Now, like I had mentioned, Pena did switch agents and is a Boris client. And this is another quote. For Pena, these extension talks are currently on hold, according to sources brief with the conversations. In quote, if you are a Houston Astro in one of the offices in the front office, that is hard. That is a hard pill to swallow because you were on the bricks of getting him extended in an Astros uniform for a good while, buying his arbitration years. That would have been because he'll have arbitration 2 more years after this year. So you would have him for 5 more years. Now with Scott Boris and being Scott Boris clients, being represented by him, he's gonna get the most for his players. And we had talked about this a little bit last podcast, but of course, when you are a Boris client, and if you're represented by Scott Boris, Boris wants you to go to free agency, test the market, and get the highest dollar that's been. And we've talked about too, real quick. Jose Altuve and Lance McCullers Jr. were represented by Scott Boras, as well as Alex Bregman when he had his first contract extension with the Astros. So, Angel, I'm gonna ask you this since I
Yeah.
had asked Steban the first question. I mean, do you think Houston could find a way to get this done, knowing that it was on the brinks of happening, being that 5 years, more than 105 million happening, or do you think Scott Boras is kind of gonna convince Pena, like, hey, let's wait a little bit more, 2 more years, kind of Pena himself as well, having a bet on himself, even though he's having a fantastic season so far.
Uh, I think this is a good thing, and the fact that these conversations for extensions are have already happened for Jordan Payne, I think that's a good sign. Now, bringing in Boris, it's more of him trying to maximize his worth, right? Trying to get as much money as he can, making sure it's a good deal for him, for his family. But the fact that these talks were good, maybe he was on the verge of signing, perfect, great, that's even better. Now, at the end of the day, these agents work for the players, right? The players don't work for the agents. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be Pena's decision. And if he truly wants to stay with the Astros, I'm sure they can work something out, getting his values worth, and and making these contracts. Because again, Boris clients have signed terms with the Astros. You have Altuve, like you said, Bregman, like you said as well. So I'm looking at this more as a good thing that these conversations have happened, just because there's mutual interest in there, and I think just Pena bringing Boris is more of him trying to get as much money as he can. I think something, and then the fact that they're on hold, I think that's just kind of a courtesy because obviously, um, Bork's not going to agree to anything without reviewing contracts, reviewing things. What was the initial offer? I'm sure he's reading the contract that the Astros probably already gave him, or just say, "Hey, this is the way I work." Giving him his taste of that. So obviously, it's just I think a formality being on hold because Bork's not going to agree to that. But I think it's a good sign. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a deal done either at the end of the season or before.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all know that Pena also has an undercover agent, Mauricio Dubon. Whenever he was asked about Jeremy Pena's contract, he said he's a $300 million player. He's been showing it, and he's always had this. The problem is it never clicked, which I do. But the talent's always been there for Pena, which was the glove. And then when he first came up, the bat was there. And then obviously, he had the sophomore slump, and then he continued to struggle. But this kid found it together. Even Correa predicted he mentioned that him and Pena got together prior to the season to start practicing again, and he was telling Pena, "You're most likely going to have an All Star season. Your best days are still to come."
Yeah, I can confirm that they have been working out together during the off season, but man, it's gonna be difficult now for Houston too, knowing that they have two of their future players that are gonna be first time All Stars going into Atlanta that are Boris clients, and it's kind of gonna be like, is it even possible to get these two extended, or if it's gonna be have to be kind of one and let the other one walk? So I think it's gonna be interesting, honestly, because Hunter Brown, the way he's been pitching, I think pitching is big, and you've heard Dana Brown say pitching's like they're never out of looking for starting pitchers, and the market that it is, the talent that Hunter Brown has presented, man, it'd be hard to lose him. But of course, the way Pena's been playing, man, like I said, it's going to be an interesting offseason. See what Houston does going towards Pena to Brown, these contract extensions in general.
Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, it's on the player. Like if the player wants to sign, wants to stay, I'm sure Boris and the Astros can make that happen, right? But if they're interested for a switch or they want to get as much as they can made for another team, then it's on them. But I think again, like I said, I think it's a good thing that they're talking about it. Hopefully, they can reach a deal. I'm sure Astros fans are hopeful they can reach a deal.
Yeah, players also real quick. Players have spoke high. I mean, big on who they want to stay with, and Altuve being that Boris represented client had told Boris like, I want to be in Houston forever. Find a way to get it done because I'm staying in Houston. Houston's my home, and sure enough, it was able to happen. So Pena does have that same mentality, saying that Houston's going to be his home forever, and he wants to just stay because I feel like he's embraced the city too. Throwing the H's all the time, you see that as well. But like you said, Angel, it just depends on the player. See where it goes from there.
Yeah, and and then now this interleague matchup, I know they just faced the Phillies. Now it's continuing with the Chicago Cubs are in town for the Astros. Right now, the Cubs has a 48-33 record, just like the Astros do. They're first in the NL West. However, they're 5-5 in the last 10 games, and they bring in Cal Tucker, who's everybody's familiar with him. Ryan Presley, who the Astros did confirm that they will have a tribute before the game. So if you would like to see that, make sure you get there early for Friday's game. But they also bring guys like Pete Crow Armstrong, who you might see some highlight reels in center field out there, and also what he can do with the bat. And then Dansby Swanson, just a really star-studded lineup. And I know this Philly series was a really tough one, and the Astros got the sweep. But I think this is another Super Bowl series for the Astros. I think, especially with the pitcher that the Cubs have, they have a lot of injuries in that aspect. They lost Jordan Steele, Javier Assad still out, so it's a Super Bowl series for the Astros. Friday, it's a 7:10 start time. Cade Horton versus Brandon Walter, rookie versus rookie. Walter is 0-1 with a 3.80 ERA. Again, his last outing, not so great against the Angels. 6 innings pitched, 7 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Now, what I'm looking for is how will Walter bounce back from that? He's been really great. Has one bad start. This is how tough mental tough this player is. And I think he can do a really good job. It won't be easy against the Cubs. They have a really good squad on the other end, but if Walter can give the Astros 5, 6 innings, limiting to 3 runs or less, I think that's a win for Walter and the Astros. And he did leave a lot of hittable strikes last time out. I'm looking for him to hit the corners a little bit, just so he doesn't get hit as hard. He'll be going against Cade Horton, like I said. He's the number 2 prospect for the Cubs. He's 3-1 with a 3.73 ERA. Versus Seattle, he went 4-2, 2 2/3 with 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So far, the kid's done great. He has a 5 pitch mix of a fastball, sweeper, curveball, changeup, and sinker. And if you're the Astros, you need to attack that fastball whenever you can because his breaking pitch is really good. His opponent batting average on the fastball is 372, so that's what I'm saying. Take advantage of that fastball. However, his opponent average on the curveball is 167, so it's the real deal on that end.
Yeah, real quick on the fastball. I mean, perfect guy to clobber and get ready on that is Jose Altuve.
Yeah,
One of the best fastball hitting hitters in the game, and that's where you set yourself real quick, being in that 3 spot. Of course, you can be seeing a little heavy dosage of them curveballs and them off speeds, but when you get that fastball, especially with a mistake from a rookie pitcher, man, it, that's a perfect opportunity for him to get going against the Cubs.
absolutely. And then a guy like Christian Walker is who I'm looking for. Maybe this could be a start where he gets it going because he's struggling on the fastball, and that was a really change from his previous years. In previous years, he really hit the fastball well. This year, not so much. So if he can able to, you know, sometimes all it takes is an at bat, a pitch, a feel to get going, and this is a perfect guy where he can kind of get that, you know, get that feel, get that good hittable fastball.
Um, who is this? Astroworth Craig. The wind won't be blowing out at Dakin like it does at Wrigley. He does have a point here.
Oh yeah, there it is. Or
Sorry.
it was there, but it was not there. But yeah, Astro World. Man, that's been a name that we haven't called in a while.
I
Hope you're doing
know.
good out there.
Where you
But yeah,
been?
yeah. But we talked about that with Desai Paredes. He didn't find a lot of success at Wrigley because a wind was a factor over there, and like he mentioned, the wind will not be blowing out Dyken Park, especially when Houston doesn't open the roof anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a lineup that Brandon Walter's facing, and this is going to be a lineup that's going to be very hungry as well. So Walter must make sure he's hitting his spots and not try to overpower everybody because guys, whenever they tend to overpower, tend to get wilder. Maybe he might hit a batter or two, and this is a game that Walter would really like to stay in, going against rookie versus rookie battle. I believe the Astros would be able and should be able to cause some havoc for Horton for the rookie.
Absolutely.
I will correct you
And
on this count too, though. Walter is not a rookie. Just
uh,
Oh, okay.
I did I did check it today because I did hear you say that last time that Watcher wasn't a rookie. I did look it up. According to Baseball Reference, it says rookie status still intact in 2025.
what the
Oh,
hell? He
Yeah,
said he debuted in 23. That's
you
yeah.
got
insane.
you just got served.
Well,
I
I
did.
think
He literally just like lobbed on me right now.
it it's because in 2023 he only pitched. I'm sorry, he only played in 9 games. So you have to have a certain number of games before you're not considered a rookie anymore.
There goes that Randy Rosarena BS again.
Yeah. Well, Jason Dominguez too. I mean, he's still
Yeah,
considered a
Dominguez,
That
rookie.
too is still a rookie.
10-year rookie.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So okay.
Way to dunk on me. Good job, man.
I'm talking. Hey, we're out here to help each other out. It's not about anything like that. But Saturday, 6:15 start time, so get there a little early. Colin Ria versus TBA. Now the Astros haven't really set who they're gonna say. Probably Lance McCullers Jr. and it all depends how he feels, right? So this is so I'm gonna give you his stats real quick. Lance McCullers 1-2 with a 4.91 ERA. He last pitched in June 6th after suffering a right foot strain. But this is per Brian McTaggart. This we have to say Lance McCullers did some pitcher fielding practice today and it went well, according to manager Joe Espada. If he gets up tomorrow and feels good, he's an option to start Saturday. So I'm sure Lance McCullers really wants to be out there on the mound, help the team out, but it all depends how he feels. Now, if he uh doesn't pitch, I'm looking. I really don't know. Maybe call up AJ Blueball could be part of it there. So we'll
I
wait
would,
and see
I
what
would, I
happens.
would like to see Miguel Yola get
I think
called
a
He's
up.
lot
too
of Astro
early.
fans would like that, but I
Yeah,
don't think
it's
that
too
would
early
happen.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
too
too
early.
early. I would
Yeah.
say maybe Brian Gusto is another option as well.
But then Gusto
Is
pitch.
he still?
I think when was the last time Gusto pitched? Because I was thinking about it, but I know he's pitched recently. That's why I
That's
didn't bring him up.
I got you real quick, but go ahead and move on to the next part.
Yeah, yeah. So Conneria has a 4.3 record, 4.42 ERA. His last start against Seattle didn't go so well. 5 in the third innings pitch, 11 hits, 7 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Really had a tough time maneuvering through Cal Riley and those Mariners. He does have a 7 pitch arsenal though. Fastball, split finger, slider, curveball, sweeper, cutter, and sinker. So a lot of movement, a lot of movement. Throws a fastball 47% of the time and then likes to, maneuver his way with those breaking pitches. And honestly, Conneria hasn't had an ERA under 4 in a 7-year career. So he's always been a 4 or more ERA. And honestly, again, with Horton, I hope the Astros are excited to hit fastballs today because Rhea has a 3.19 opponent batting average on his fastball too. So and he throws it 45% of the time. So he's gonna get a big dosage of fastball.
Yeah, Ryan Gusto. I just searched it real quick. Angel hasn't pitched since June 22nd, so that could be
Yeah, it
in
could be an
line to
option.
pitch for
Yeah.
that day.
Okay, there you go. And that Ryan Gusto will pitch if Lance McCullers can't.
So we'll see. We're not saying that's gonna happen, but
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
see.
just hope McCullers gets up and feels good tomorrow.
Yeah, that too. That could be another big thing. They go to a 6-man rotation if they
And
want to.
you can only think that Lance really wants to make it back to this game because he's going to be able to face ex teammates, Kyle Tucker, and he won't be facing Presley, but Presley was as well an ex teammate of his, so this would be a game that he would like to probably put himself in. It being his first time against the Cubs as well, so it'll be a team that maybe he would like to show his potential again. As for Colin Rea, he's going to be throwing a lot of pitches. 7 pitch arsenal is just it's a lot to do with as a batter. He's going to always have you out in front or maybe guessing the whole time. So kind of just like you said, 45% of the time is fastball. So just try to get on it early.
Yeah, and I think if Lance McCullers does pitch this outing, he does line up against the Dodgers um at Chicago's regime, so I'm sure he's looking forward to that one
Him
too.
versus
So
Kershaw.
Yeah,
Him
he is
versus
yeah,
loving.
Kershaw.
you know, I was thinking, and this could be like just a little off topic here, because Lance McCullers and I think Framber Valdez are stated to face the Dodgers, but they got the Friday and Saturday game, and you got a rookie that Sunday game. But before that, you got the Rockies, right? And Hunter Brown is projected to pitch the last game of the Rocky series. That'll be his fifth
Is that
day
over there at the Rockies too?
at Rockies. Do you think it'll be smart for him maybe to
I
get an
swap them out.
extra day of rest, and then you have uh Hunter Brown, Nats McCullers, and Framber Valdez against the Dodgers? That could be a possibility too. They play their cards right because they have a
So
day off Monday.
so this happens then. If McCullers does pitch Saturday, then you pitch Gusto. You basically
Yeah,
put Gusto in one of them games. Then it can line up for that. That would be a badass series. Just
yeah,
baseball in general with Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez and Lance McCullers Jr. in that series against the Dodgers. Because I think
yeah.
baseball fans, I know Astro fans are salivating on
Well,
that part, but
actually, I don't think Hunter Brown will get the chance because he pitched what Thursday, so it's 3 games. I think he'll get game two of that Rockies
are the
game.
Rockies
So yeah, so
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well,
yeah,
you can only hope and dream.
Yeah,
last
never
time,
know. You never know. Could happen.
last time McCullers faced Dodgers was in August 3rd, 2021,
That
yeah.
was at LA, if I'm not mistaken, too.
and then I
Mhm.
think that was one of those games that he was just spamming curveballs too.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But a guy who is projected to face the Dodgers when it comes is Framber Valdez. He'll pitch. He'll have that Sunday game against James Tyson, 110 start time. Valdez 8-4, 2.88 ERA. If you didn't hear the stat line he did against the Phillies, I'll read to you one more time. 70 pitch, 4 hits, 0 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. You really had to battle through, but uh, in his last nine starts, Framber Valdez is 7-0 with an ERA in the twos as well. It was 3 point something, but like before this Philly start, so I'm sure it got better than that. So he's done really good in the month of June, in his last 9 starts, and it all starts with the curveball. His curveball, the opponent batting average on the curveball is 1.65 with a 43% whiff rate. And honestly, the starting pitching for the Astros has been great in June overall. So the pitching staff in June has posted a major league best ERA of 2.69 and a pointing average of 2.210 in June. So this is a pitching staff that hopes to continue that trend and have the best opponent batting average and the best ERA in this month.
Yeah. I mean, they just done a really good job. A lot of fans of baseball do not want to give the Astros credit because, of course, the whole Ching scandal and all that stuff. But I mean, you gotta give credit where it's due. And Valdez doing what he's been doing. Hunter Brown's been doing what he's doing. And like we said about the injuries, I mean, not having Ronel Blanco, Hayden Wisniewski, Spencer Rigetti, of course, you having Tommy John and Luis Garcia's injury coming back too. JP France. I can go on with this list of injuries
Yeah.
and what they've been doing, bringing guys like Colin Gordon, Ryan Gusto, Brandon Walter, who stepped up. You had a start from AJ Blueball, but I won't be surprised if he gets another game pretty soon as a Houston Astro this season. It's just been a fantastic job what this rotation does, and we've talked about so much with the rotation, but the bullpen too needs its flowers. And Ben Souza, Stephen O'Kerr, Brian King, Brian Abreu, Josh Hader. Without those guys, I don't know where this bullpen would be. I don't know where these games would be too, because like you had mentioned beginning too, Angel, the Astros have a good record in one-run games with the lead.
Yeah.
So you need a bullpen to be able to do that, but at the same time too, you need to set the table and set the game with a good starter. And really, Houston has been blessed with, I would say, the 1-2 punch being Valdez and Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. And Just looking for his picture pretty real quick. Valdez to square off against Jameson Tyon, who's a guy that the Astros have seen a ton. He's right now he's 7-5 with a 4.47 ERA. His last outing against the Cardinals wasn't so great as well. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. This is back-to-back outings for Talion where he only goes 4 innings pitched. Does throw 6 pitches though with a fastball, sweeper, curveball, cutter, changeup, and sinker. He's pitched 5 times against Houston before. He has a 1-1 record with a 4.50 ERA. In total, he's pitched 30 innings, allowing 15 runs, 5 home runs, and has a 1.23 whip. So not so great against the Houston Astros.
Good opportunity, good series, honestly. NL Central, former NL Central division rival. I think a lot of Cubs fans will be there too. And I know the last series that the Cubs were in Houston had a lot of fans, especially if it's going to be on a weekend. This is another great series. You get to see Kyle Tucker, if you're a Nationals fan, come back, even though it's in a different uniform. Same goes for Ryan Presley. I just know Astro fans out there, do give respect and they do give their love and show their appreciation to former players. So good series to be going for the Astros against a good team that possibly could be a postseason team.
I mean, this is a good matchup too for Paredes and Cam Smith, who might have a little something weight on their shoulders from being traded by the Cubs. So these guys
Yeah.
might have a little bad blood and might want to show out against these guys.
Yeah, and we got on the chat Brian Todd and he sucked Paredes long term. 26 years old, he just turned 26. He's done a really good job so far with the Astros. Like Angel had said, he
Doesn't seem to
boosted,
be injury prone.
yeah, no, boosted his defensive capabilities. So yeah, that's another option too. We did talk about extension talk with Pena and Brown. That's another guy to consider when it gets closer.
And then somebody that could also help your younger guys, and not just younger guys, everybody in the lineup, because the way he takes at bats and just works full counts and files off so many pitches, like guys see that, and guys are looking at especially on deck, or you're just sitting there in the dugout looking at the iPads. I'm sure these guys are looking at their teammate and just like, wow, this guy's just phenomenal work, fighting pitches in the dirt, pitches outside of the zone, whether it's taking balls or just if he just flat out doesn't like it, he's not he doesn't shy away from taking any pitch.
Yeah, there was one at bat too, if I'm not mistaken, that he had a two seamer run in on him
Oh
and
yeah, he got caught
Drew
looking.
called it a strike. Yeah, and it was a
Yeah, he
ball.
was unhappy, and it happened to him twice, I believe, that game.
Yeah, and one of them was in a crucial spot. I think it was like runners at first and third with 2 outs. So he has a really great eye at the plate, puts up good at bats, like you said, Esteban. The discipline and is there for
He
Well, he ranks
should have just tapped his helmet.
him. It would have been Taylor Walls all over
I
again.
can't wait to hopefully MLB transitions to try to bring that into the game eventually. Especially I feel like towards the postseason type when the games really do matter a lot more. That's something that you might want to rely on to advanced technology in big situations like that.
Well, I did want to say that Isaac is ranked second in the majors in pitches per plate appearance with 4.41. We need trades Bryson Stott. The franchise record is currently owned by Alex Bregman, of course, 4.22. So at this point, right now, Isaac is projected to have the franchise record in that.
Wow, putting your name in the history books already in your first season.
He said Bregman who? Who was the guy that was here before me? I don't know. I don't want to hear about his name. That's what he said pretty much. But no Astros made the Phase 1 All-Star voting. Pena finishes in third. Altuve finishes in third. Paredes finishes in fifth. Walker in fifth. Jake Myers in 12th. And even though he was not playing as of recently, Jordan still makes it on fifth. So I want to ask you guys, All-Star Game just, in my opinion, just continues to be a popularity contest.
You want to take over, Angel, on this one, or you want me
Uh,
first?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I think so. But of course, at the same time, MLB, this is my opinion. I think MLB wants the popularity because of the money. The money's going to be there. You want the ratings up. You want everything up. But Jacob Wilson, of course, deserves. Bobby Wood Jr., a great player, MVP caliber player, had a good season last year. It's been slow really this season. I think Pena should be the guy, honestly, in the next phase, which is phase two. Jose Altuve, that one's a tricky one because he did transition himself as a left fielder, but he still plays some games at second base, and they put him on the ballot as a second baseman. So if you look at Gleyber Torres, he's having a good season. I will disagree with Jackson
Yeah.
Holiday. I think Holiday is going to be a really bright player in the future, but Jose Altuve got stronger numbers than Holiday. I will say Paredes as another one. I just that doesn't make any sense. How Alex Bregman is second in the phase one voting, and he is hurt, which he's going to be coming back soon. I think, if I'm not mistaken, with Boston. And Paredes has a lot of strong numbers. Angel had mentioned it with the offensive numbers, even defensive numbers. So, yeah, to your point, yes, this is honestly a popularity contest. Um, it is by the fans, so just I guess the Astro fans just didn't vote enough. But with everybody else, Walker in fifth, I agree with that. Jordan in fifth
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Jake Myers in 12th. I think he should be getting a little bit more love, but I know for sure for the three I had mentioned with Pena and Altuve and Paredes, I
Yeah.
mean, they really deserve to be an all star.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think Walker, Jake Myers, Jordan, again, that's where their place should be. I think that's fine. I do think the Astros should have three All Stars though, and three offensive All Stars, I guess I would say, and that's Pena, Altuve, and Baez. Baez again should have been up there with Jose Ramirez as 1-2 punch.
Mhm.
I agree with Jose Altuve as well. Should be in that second position with Gleyber, or even first in that Gleyber position with Gleyber and Altuve. Pena, I know it's kind of hard to beat Bobby Witt Jr. just because he's a great player, but I think in 2025,
Yeah.
I think Pena is playing better than Bobby Witt Jr. Again, Bobby Witt Jr. great player,
Hmm.
gonna be for years to come. I'm sure he's gonna get better every year out and year out. But Jerry Pena, I think, is deserving now. The only way the Astros can get All Stars now is voted in by coaches and players. And I think the two most deserving ones are going to be Pena and Baez. Now, Altuve equally as deserving, but the fact that he transitioned from left field to second base, kind of hard to to have a place for him because I don't think he's gonna get. I don't think he'll see any playing time in the outfield. The Astros game maybe second base, so that's what they want to put him. But most deserving Astros, I would say Pena, Baez on the offensive side for All Star bids. I think those are people that should be in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we at least see 2 to 3 of those guys be on the reserve list. Paredes, Altuve, Pena. I think we'll probably see maybe some of the guys from the back end of the pitching rotation, possibly Hunter Brown might be in there, depending on what they
Oh yeah,
vote
for sure.
in.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to ask y'all fellas, or any of the viewers here, if who would y'all choose, or who would y'all like to see from the Astros if they were willingly to be able to attend for the home run derby?
Well,
For me,
Kyle Tucker did say he wanted to do it when he did it
he was here. Yeah,
when he
yeah,
was when he made the All Star game in Seattle. Obviously, he got hurt last year, but if there was somebody to choose, Paredes would be interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, he would be
I,
a good one.
I'd go. Me personally, I'd go Walker.
And I was thinking of
Oh,
Walker too. Alvarez,
Walker's a
of
good one.
course. Alvarez, I think, said that he wouldn't
Yeah,
want to
he's
do it.
I don't want to do it the way he's projected to come back and stuff. That's the last thing you want to send Alvarez
Oh
to
yeah,
a meaningless home run derby and something messes up his hand or he freaking pulls something in his back.
yeah. You know what? Give Jake Myers the bat. I mean, he's been hitting the
Yeah,
ball really well. Why not? Why not
Atlanta, I
give
think
it
he
to
could
the
get
rig?
some back there.
Man, Atlanta's a big field though. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie about
that is
that.
pretty cool.
They got a
You
lot.
really
They,
got to hit him. Yeah.
Yeah,
but the
unless you're
pitchers, like you were
you
saying,
just put it in
Stefan.
the chop house.
Yeah, the chop house. That'd be cool. But the pitchers you were saying, Frember and Hunter Brown are automatic, and
Yeah,
it'd be stupid, in my opinion,
you
if
don't
they
see
don't
those
make it.
guys.
But Josh Hader, automatic as well. But like I said, I think Brian Abreu does deserve a bid for the All Star game as a reliever.
Absolutely. Again,
And you could just hope maybe they don't get snubbed our pitchers by these up and coming talents like Jacob Mizorowski coming up and going band for band with Paul Skeens yesterday too. So there's a lot of young guys that are getting the call right now. The league's in good hands, I could just say that. And the future All Stars game, that's something that I would recommend if you're a baseball fanatic to watch because there is so much talent on display. I mean, I remember years ago I had seen Jacob Mizorowski pitching, and none of my friends knew who he was, and I didn't either. But all I knew, he had a filthy arm angle slot, and I was like, man, this kid's gonna be a force once he comes up. And look at him now.
Yeah, I'd say that futures game. If you're a Nationals fan or you're a baseball fan in general, that futures game tickets aren't expensive as hell. I'd attend because, like I said, them are people that are going to be coming up in the league soon. Mizorowski already saw what he's done. Roman Anthony already up. Marcelo Myers, another guy that's up. Simpson from the Rays is already up. I mean, them are the future. That's why it's called the futures game. Um, I will say this: Kevin does make a good point. Sin Dubon. I think Major League Baseball needs to find a way to throw a utility spot.
Oh
If we
man, that
can
would be
throw a DH spot in the voting category, why shouldn't a utility spot be in there? If there's a utility man award, Gold Glove award, why is there not a ballot for a utility? For those guys.
that's a good thing you brought up there. I didn't even actually think about that, but that would be interesting to see.
So I'd like to see a utility spot being. I don't know when it'll come, but it should be cool if they
I
do
don't
that.
think it. I don't think it will.
I mean, you've seen it, so yeah, now I'll see it either. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Wait, are we already on record time right now? A minute
Yes,
and
we are
31,
record time.
Oh
an
man,
hour and
we already
31.
packed it by 10 minutes. The last
I'm
round.
saying, I just realized that.
Finish us off, Steban. Finish us off.
Hey, yo, hold up. Anyways, Astros injuries. Right-handed pitcher Spencer Arrighetti broken right thumb reported to Florida last week to continue his build up to game action, and he did post a video on his Instagram story that he was throwing a bullpen. So that's a good sign that you would that you see from Spencer Arrighetti. Right-handed pitcher JP France right shoulder injury through a 26 pitch live BP on Friday. This was his third live BP since surgery. Right-handed pitcher Luis Garcia, right elbow surgery through his first live BP today, tossing 20 pitches in the outing. Right-handed pitcher Christian Javier, right elbow surgery through a 20-pitch live BP on Friday. This was the first live BP since surgery. Designated hitter Jordan Alvarez, right-hand fracture, began swinging a bat by hitting off a tee on Sunday afternoon. He is scheduled to hit off a tee in the batting cage again today. That just sounds like a track record on repeat with Jordan. Every time that they bring up something about the updates with Jordan, it's just the same thing every time. T, batting, schedule, this and that, this and that. Come on, Jordan, get it together. We need you to get it together, big fella. Anyways, Zach DeZenzo, outfielder, left hand capsule strain, has not progressed yet to hitting. Outfielder Pedro Leon, left knee sprain. Chaz McCormick, left oblique strain. Jacob Melton, right ankle sprain. And infield Brendan Rodgers, left oblique strain, are going through hitting and throwing progression. So this is dang near a whole freaking almost a whole baseball team right here on the IL.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard nothing but strains, sprains, surgeries,
Sounded like
and
we're
what
at
you
a
were just saying.
sound like we're at a junkyard trying to get a freaking salvage title car and rebuild it here.
But I will say this: it is promising seeing those guys progress for the Astros. Spencer Arrighetti, right-handed pitcher JP France, Luis Garcia, Christian Javier. You got those reinforcements coming soon for Houston, and like I said, the way that they played this first half of the season is unbelievable. And knowing that they got these guys coming pretty soon, if all goes well in their rehab, that's very scary for opposing teams, I would say, because you're just adding on more depth to that rotation, and you can even throw some of those rotation pieces to the bullpen.
yeah. It's gonna be once the Astros are fully healthy, it's gonna be, I would say, an even better team that they have right now. And right now they're playing great. So imagine how even greater that will be.
Yeah, so for those of y'all that are out there panicking, needing stuff, don't worry. We got plenty of reinforcements on the way. We're doing not weird, but the Houston Astros are doing this much damage with what they have. Just wait till these guys come back second half. It's gonna get scary for the league, and this team just it's gonna be completely nights out.
Yeah, again, like we said earlier, 15 games above 500, and they're, with all these injuries and things they've had to overcome, Astros are doing really good.
Yeah, second best record in the American League, third best record in Major League Baseball. 14-6 in the month of June. The Astros continue to be resilient, and a lot of people on social media say, "quote inevitable." You've heard that word before.
Best record in June, by the way.
Yes, best record in June. Another banger is in the books. Another
Appreciate that, Kevin.
record
Appreciate that.
breaker
Yeah.
as well. An hour and 35 minutes with a good crowd on hand. My gosh, we appreciate every single one of y'all being able in attendance and listen to our lovely voices. And another one in the books. Continue to follow us on Full Steam Ahead on Twitter, Instagram, FSA Full Steam Ahead, TikTok. Like Angel had mentioned, we're going to have some interviews with some of the players coming soon on our YouTube channel as well as on TikTok, Instagram, all our social media. We'll be able to post that. So if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that notification bell so then you don't miss these interviews with these players, coaches, or even some of the front office members as well. If you don't see our lovely faces and you want to hear us on the road, if you're hearing us going on the 4th of July pretty soon, if you're hearing us on 59 screaming at so many dummies that don't know how to drive on that freeway, or even on 45 because, Houston's just crazy with traffic these days. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Like, rate, review, send us your feedback. Go ahead, Angel. What do you say?
Or even yelling at the lady stuck at 45 sitting down. Did you hear about
I
that?
did see that. That is insane.
Or even when you're at the nail salon, go ahead and just put it on the nail salon TV while your girl's getting her nails done. You know what I mean? Put everybody on some game. But we appreciate everybody for coming out, showing out, rocking with us. The season is at the midway point here, so things are about to get exciting. You don't want to miss these next episodes here to come, these following weeks to come. We're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about, so continue to come in and show out. Appreciate every one of y'all that comes in here, the same faces and the new faces and old faces. Thank you, every single one of y'all, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And Kevin, throw Twisted Tea this way.
It's time for a shotgun. We need 3 of them.
Well, the weekend is here, boys. I will say that. The weekend is here. So if you're going to Astros game, make sure you drink a cold one responsibly if you're 21 and over. Just saying. Just have fun this weekend. Stay safe. Have a blessed and great weekend. We'll give you that recap of that Cubs series, and we'll get you ready for the road trip for the Astros, which they will be traveling to Colorado, which I honestly think that should be a pretty good series for the Astros to win and possibly sweep. So until then, y'all stay safe. Kevin said he's going to be here Saturday. Probably will see Esteban and maybe some of us. But till then, y'all stay safe. You have a blessed weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace out.